What a messy house. You better clean up now. Thoroughly go through every room and every nook and cranny without leaving a single speck of dust.
While my husband was away on an unexpected business trip, my mother-in-law suddenly came to our house without any notice. She pushed me out of the way and entered the room without hesitation. She ordered me to clean up now with a tremendous swagger. I wondered what she was talking about when she suddenly came to me. I opened my mouth to my mother-in-law, who still looked like a devil. My name is Sarah. I am 27 years old and I'm a housewife. I live in a place with my husband, Tom, who is the same age as me. We live in an old rental apartment near his parents' house. Our room is on the second floor between the upper and lower floors. It is not a large building with 4 floors. We talked about it when we first got married and decided to buy a condo after we saved up enough money. Even if it was an old room, the place where you spend time with a person you love once seemed special in its own way. After our marriage, Tom gradually became cold toward me. It's a daily routine that doesn't involve many conversations these days. I was starting to feel like this is what marriage would be like, and I was starting to feel like I was giving up too. One day, Tom informed me that he was suddenly going on a business trip for a few days. His company does this sort of thing from time to time. He usually keeps his overnight bag at his office. He said he would not come home today, going straight to his business trip. I responded to his business-like message with a short reply. Okay, I left the house later than him, just arriving at my work. I thought to myself, if it's just me tonight, dinner should be simple as I opened the door. Then the manager, who was not supposed to be there today, was there. The manager is a busy man who comes and goes from 2 neighboring stores as well. Other part-time worker at another store suddenly decided to fill in for him, so he came to this store. He apologized and said that I left work early, so he didn't have time to contact me. He looked for my reaction and said, "It's okay to take the day off, though. Originally, today was my day off, but due to a stack of paperwork I had to go to work. But I gratefully decided to take the day off if the manager would take care of it." And I headed home feeling like I was about to do some happy dance. I went straight home, and while unconsciously mouthing, "I'm home in a happy mood." While unconsciously mouthing, "I'm home in a happy mood," my mind was racing as to how I would spend my unexpected day off. Shall I watch a TV series I've been recording or go out to a cafe to relax? After all, Tom went on a business trip, so I have the whole day to myself. But my excitement was drowned out. I didn't even have time to sit down on the living room sofa. The chime of the front door rang loudly and continuously. I tried to rush to the front door. Without a pause, this time, this person started banging on the door.
Sarah, I know you're home. Open the door now.
It was apparently my mother-in-law who visited me out of the blue. Somehow she knew I had just got home and knew I was home. She kept hurrying me to open the door. I ran down the short hallway to the front door and rushed to open the door. My mother-in-law looked at me, disgusted, took a breath, and locked the door behind her. She pushed me out of the way and entered my house. She looked around the rooms here and there, then she pushed the luggage she had and said to me in a stern tone, "What a messy house! You better clean up now. Thoroughly go through every room and every nook and cranny without leaving a single speck of dust."
Oh, okay, I will.
Seeing the way she was acting furious, I decided I had better shut up and listen to her. Then I quickly put the luggage she gave me on the desk. I started cleaning from the living room. I did as my mother-in-law said, and went around cleaning the whole house, including the bathroom. My mother-in-law walked around, checking every other room while keeping an eye on me. The last room left was Tom's room, but I wasn't allowed to enter because Tom had yelled at me when I cleaned it before.
"I'm not a child. I can clean my own room by myself. Don't do anything unnecessary."
It was at a time when our conversations were becoming less and less frequent, but we had never had a big fight back then. Tomoya's sudden rage really shortened my lifespan, so I decided not to clean this room and leave it to him. I tried to explain it to her and skip this room, but she didn't listen and entered his room. If she moved things around, I thought of what would happen if Tom came home from his business trip and found out about it. I was terrified. and kept trying to talk to my mother-in-law to leave the room quickly from the hallway. Then I heard the ringtone of the message from Tom. As I took out my phone, which I had in my pocket, I wondered unrealistically if perhaps there was some kind of device that would let him know if someone entered this room. Then I fearfully checked his message. But his message was quite normal. He said that he will be back tomorrow because he was able to adjust his schedule for his business trip. He suggested to me that if I got the day off today, I should go have tea with his mother. At first glance, that seemed like a thoughtful word, but I felt a strong sense of discomfort. How did he know that I was off work? Even if his mother had told him I was home, usually it's just a quick text and we don't talk much when we see each other. I wonder what his intentions are in suggesting to me how to spend my day off. My confused thoughts were interrupted by an unfamiliar sound that suddenly echoed through the place. I looked around the room in a hurry without responding to his message. My mother-in-law, who hates insects, was spraying insecticide all over the room. I knew this was not the time to reply to him, so I ran to my mother-in-law and tried to get her to stop. She said, "There are bugs!" She shook off my attempts to stop her. She continued to use all the insecticides she had brought with her. Then she opened the sliding door of the closet just a little bit. She stuck her arm in there and began to spray insecticide into the closet. Then suddenly the sliding door on the other side began to rattle and shake. I get scared and take a step or two back. The next moment, the sliding door opened with a crack and a bang. A coughing woman came running out from inside. The mother-in-law almost got her hand caught in the middle, looked at her and shouted, "Thief!" And she threw the insecticide she boldly grabbed onto the woman.
Call the cops. Now.
I heard my mother-in-law's desperate voice and came back to myself. I managed to move my faltering fingers and tried to call the police, but the woman pushed my mother-in-law out of the way with force. Then she ran at once out the front door. I ran to my mother-in-law, who was holding her back. It was all I could do to give the person on the phone my address and tell them that the intruder had fled. I couldn't follow the situation at all and couldn't chase her. My mother-in-law and I then explained the situation to the police officer who arrived on the scene. He asked us if we recognized the person who had broken in. We answered honestly that we didn't know the person. But then my mother-in-law said maybe.
And she mentioned a possibility.
I was speechless. When I heard the outlandish speculation, my mother-in-law began to speak. The next evening, my mother-in-law and I waited for Tom to come home. To be honest, though, I didn't get any work done today. My nervousness still grows with each passing hour. My mother-in-law in front of me sipped her tea without saying a word. All she did was sigh. In the midst of this heavy atmosphere, Tom finally came home. He said in his first sentence, "What happened yesterday?" We had not yet told Tom about yesterday's incident. I asked him who told him. He remained calm and replied, "From the neighbor. I just saw outside."
She approached me and said, "I heard you were having trouble at home yesterday."
This answer discouraged me. If the neighbors heard my mother-in-law yelling the word thief, they wouldn't say, "We were in trouble." If anything, it is more like, "I saw a police car here, what happened?" would be a natural question. Well, that woman who ran away right away, she may have no idea that I really did call the police. I looked at my mother-in-law and nodded. My mother-in-law let Tom have a seat at the table and sit back down next to me. She began to speak quietly. When she was cleaning this house yesterday, suddenly someone jumped out of the closet and pushed her out. Then she injured her back and she hurt her finger.
Tom seems upset to hear this. "It must have been a robbery," he said, and asked me if there was any other damage. "I'm glad you are not alone, Sarah. Unexpectedly, it was you and Mom, so that woman must have thought she was in trouble and ran away too."
But don't be careless, Mom. You're not getting any younger. Hearing Tom's words, my mother-in-law sighed deeply and raised her eyebrows.
We're thinking about filing a police report, but somehow you knew that person was she without asking anything. I'm sure you know who she is too, because the footage is still here. Shall we watch it together now?
Tom gasps when his mom pulls out an old video camera, looked at his mom and me. He tried to say something, and his mom urged me to play the video. I couldn't take my eyes off Tom, who was growing pale as he stared at the video as if he were devouring it. Actually, my mother-in-law and I are very close. It is unthinkable that she would suddenly come to our house like yesterday and make me clean the house with a commanding tone. And from the frantic look on her face when she first opened the door, I thought to myself, this must be something. I didn't talk much more than I had to. And with the video camera my mother-in-law had pushed on me, I filmed the entire house search, which was called a cleaning. The video camera, positioned in such a way that it could roughly see the entire room, captured the living room side from above the dining room table. It continued to record me diligently cleaning the inside of the closet, and my mother-in-law checks the camera from time to time. After that, we changed rooms, toilets, and baths. It even continues to capture the inside of the closet. And Tom's room in question was shot from the top of a low chest near the entry, just as my mother-in-law entered the room, where we clearly captured a woman jumping out of a closet. It was a good angle, and even as she pushed my mother-in-law away, it captured the scene so well that we could even make out the expression on the person's face as she ran away. Tom was sweating as he watched the video, even though it was not a hot day. And I showed him the call history to the police left on my phone to prove the report, while reminding him that we had not yet reported the damage and that the investigation had not started. Tom was silent, as if wondering how best to answer after all this time. I was getting impatient with him, and I offered him a small bag as a final push. That's what I found when I pulled out the insecticide-covered guest bedding to air it out for a bit when the police left after hearing my mother-in-law's speculation yesterday. Inside is a handkerchief and a lipstick, plus the key to this house and the phone in a cute case. I verified yesterday that this phone with an unknown owner, I was able to unlock it by entering Tom's birthday. From the cell phone, I picked out a cheesy text message that I thought his girlfriend had sent and showed it to Tom. Finally, Tom gave up, his voice sounding as if he was about to disappear.
The woman is my girlfriend.
He mumbled, as my mother-in-law predicted, which seemed out of the blue at first. Tom had been having an affair for some time. He had even given her a spare key and was meeting her in the house during the day when I was not there. My mother-in-law had previously seen a woman, dressed very unlike me, entering the house with Tom. Today, she saw a shadow opening the curtains in my house when no one was supposed to be home. However, when my alarmed mother-in-law returned from her house with a pesticide that could be used as a weapon and a video camera to capture the evidence, she saw me about to walk into my apartment, so she rushed up the stairs. And it was not only my mother-in-law who was surprised by my return. His girlfriend had the morning off that day, came to our house as promised, unaware of Tom's unexpected business trip. She was waiting in Tom's room as usual. But it was not Tom who unlocked the door and entered, and she panicked. She hid in a closet, thankful that she had brought her shoes in to surprise him. She texted Tom asking for help. Tom, on the other hand, he had been busy all morning and had not checked his cell phone. He thought he should have informed her of his business trip as well. In his panic, he checked his text history. The message had been sent to his mother. Moreover, he noticed it and immediately texted me to go out, but got no reply. He must have been in a bad state of mind until she arrived home and sent him an email from her computer.
I will never cheat on you again. I'm really sorry, and I'll make her apologize too as well. So please just don't report to the police. Okay, how about I'll buy you something as an apology? What do you like? Clothes, shoes, anything?
Does he think I can fall for things like his girlfriend? While Tom desperately tries to pocket me, I demanded a divorce with a firm stance. After seeing that text, there was no way I could have the desire to start over with Tom. It was a harsh move, but when I threatened to file a damage report, Tom, fearing that the fire would be brought down on him as well, he accepted the divorce and alimony payment. He had been cold to me, but when the divorce was finalized, he began to cry sobbing. But I can't be bothered with such things. My mother-in-law and I questioned Tom and got him to give up her information. And I left the house, ignoring him as he continued to cry. After that, my mother-in-law and I headed to his girlfriend's house. She answered the intercom, and I told her that I had come to return her bag. She opened the door with a very pale face. I told her that we had checked Tom's phone with him. She couldn't pretend not to know about it now, so she admitted to the affair. We received the evidence we needed and left. We received the keys back with an apology. We demanded compensation for the infidelity and for my mother-in-law's injuries. She soon hired a lawyer, and we reached a settlement with her. We now know the identity of the intruder, and we know for sure it was Tom who gave him the key. This case is over. My mother-in-law and I patted ourselves on the chest, and it's none of my business. In the end, Tom and his girlfriend went through a catastrophic breakup after that. The two were actually colleagues working in the same department. They often saw each other in the company, but they had big fights instead of working. They had been seeing each other happily until a short while ago. This time, the large amount of alimony involved in this case was enough to cool their mutual affection. Even after repeated reminders from the boss, their never-ending public-private argument heated up, and the whole office was made aware of the drama. And even after the two were separated from their departments, they started harassing each other by hiding documents and not sharing important communication. They were fired because their behavior was seriously interfering with their work. I was asked by both of them to reduce my alimony, but I did not comply at all. They had to draw down their savings, which were so small that they couldn't pay the alimony in one lump sum. They are now looking for new jobs with bloodshot eyes. I had to leave the house, where I had spent several years, until I was able to settle on a new house. I was able to stay at my mother-in-law's house as a courtesy. Even now that I have moved into my new home, I still enjoy meals and trips with my mother-in-law. We are still like friends who are far apart in age,